Hello, this is Arthur again. Today we're going to take a look at my 2010 Jaguar XFR and we're going to talk about what happened to it. Unfortunately, we had our first breakdown with this car. My wife and I had a trip scheduled to Napa Valley. We live in Orange County, which is in Southern California, and Napa Valley is in Northern California in Bay Area. It's this beautiful wine country if you're not familiar with it. And we're going to go meet up with family and spend a few days there that we have pre-scheduled for a few different things interesting to do. And naturally, I decided to take the XFR as it's a fun drive and there's a lot of mountainous roads around there. I was really looking forward to driving through there and feeling it, feeling it up really well. And we did take it. We had a good run for the first 230, 240 miles, and I did open it up pretty good a few times. I had no issues at all. Never had any issues with this car really, the way it ran. It only has 46,000 miles on it. It's 2010, like I said. And we exited, took a break for a minute, and then we were going back on. I did push on it pretty good. Went up to like the top of third gear, maybe into fourth gear, and I started getting a bad misfire with the engine light blinking, the check engine light blinking, and I knew there was definitely something wrong. I was able to pull over, turn off the car, turn on the car, and it ran really rough. Unfortunately, I didn't pack a scan tool with me. I typically do on the longer trips, but this time, for whatever reason, I was like, oh, you know what, the car has been fine. It's gonna be okay. And this time, it ended up not being okay. So we looked up a place. There was a O'Reilly about 10 miles from us. We were really in a rural area, like in the middle of a countryside, but I was able to drive there with a misfire to get to there, at least to get a scan tool to see what's going on. I did buy a scan tool, I connected it, and I saw codes on bank 2, misfire codes on both 2, 4, 6, and cylinder 8. On bank 2 was misfiring completely. And at that point, the car wouldn't start anymore. And one thing I noticed, two things I noticed when I was driving, uh, that the last about 10 minutes to O'Reilly, I noticed that the car was smoking a lot, and it wasn't a black smoke. It wasn't really a white smoke either. It was just smoke coming out, kind of grayish. And I did notice that my fuel, I had about 3/8, and it went down to about less than a quarter in the 10 miles, which never happens, And the now snow starting at that point, and the codes on one bank, it leads me to believe that I have a stuck open fuel injector, and it just drained all the fuel out of exhaust, and that's why I was smoking, and that's why it was misfiring on one bank. So, long story short, we were stranded. Basically, the car wouldn't start, and we were 240 miles away from our house, and about 200 miles away from our destination. There was no Uber, there was no Lyft. There's not really. I didn't see any hotels there either. It was a pretty small town, Coalinga. I don't know if you heard of it or not. I hadn't heard of it, but I do now. And we were able to get a tow truck to come. We do have a AAA which covers 100 miles of range. Unfortunately, we had to pay out of pocket for the rest of the tow, which ended up being $2,100. Which, yeah, I guess it's a lot, but for me, it's a lot too. And it wasn't really uh, booking on that to be expense like that, but oh well, it's a inconvenience, I guess. At this point, we sent the car over, and then we couldn't get a rental car. There was no rental cars there. We ended up waiting at the Starbucks that we found for our family members to come from the other end, basically where we were going to go, and pick us up with their rental car. And we ended up having a great trip. However, now I'm back with my car, which is broken, and I'm gonna look into fixing it. and I did order some parts for it ahead while I was out on a trip, and I'm gonna show you what I got, and I'm gonna kind of walk through the repair. I'll show you maybe a time lapse, and whenever I get to the part where I find where the actual problem is, where I believe is causing the issue, I will show you what is going on. Also, want to shout out to the tow truck driver that brought the car safely back. Uh, I forgot his name, unfortunately, but I'll send him a link to the video. Hopefully, you can watch it. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so and watch my other videos. I have a lot of videos on, I think, pretty cool cars. And it's very hard to build up a new channel with car-related videos, as there are so many other people putting up great content. And I would really appreciate if you guys would watch some of my videos and subscribe. So let me show you what I got. I'm going to get to the injectors, which I believe is one of them is stuck. I'm going to replace all 8 injectors. I'm also going to do all new coils and all new spark plugs, as on this car it's kind of hard to get to the plugs and coils, as you have to disconnect some coolant lines, and I decided just to do all of them and not worry about them for a while. Okay, so I have the spark plugs out on the driver's side, and what I found was one of the spark plugs was pretty fuely, not too much. These are pretty dry. This one is kind of wet and smells like gas. It's hard to see it because the car's been sitting for a few days, and I think it just dried out, but I could see that this one is wetter than the other ones. And looking with the bore scope, you can't really see much, but it just looks a little wetter than the other ones. Not much, honestly. Can't really tell. I think because the car's been sitting. And looks like your cylinder 6, which is the third one on this side. The Jaguar has like a weird cylinder configuration. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're not like other cars. Most of the other cars, they don't go in line. They go sideways. Anyway, I'm gonna continue removing to the injectors and we'll see what's going on. Also doing an oil change on it, just to make sure there's no gas in the oil. But what I did find is the driver's side exhaust, bank 2, wet, and it smells like some gas traveled through and came out just like I suspected. We'll see. So spark plugs are in, ignition coils are in, new fuel injectors are in, and everything's buttoned up pretty much. I changed the oil as well. I'm gonna start it, see how it is. Lots of smoke from the exhaust as expected. All the fuel was sitting in there. Just gotta check for leaks. Anything like that. Something obvious. This car is really, you can really not see anything in this car. It's very cramped. Lots of smoke. Gotta wait till the smoke clears up. Woo. That is pretty bad. Can you run a little bit? No check engine light. Oops. Pretty good. Just gonna let it clear out. Then get back to you. Okay, as you saw in the short clip, the car is repaired. It's running well. Here are the old parts that are removed. All the spark plugs, injectors. One of them was stuck open and it was spraying fuel all the time and that was causing the issue. I'm not sure which one was it exactly out of these, but you can't really tell by looking at them. But they're all got replaced either way, so it doesn't matter. They were replaced at some point before 2012, looks like. Actually, not all of them. Looks like one side only got new injectors. These are 2014, and the other side is 2010. This is the side that had the problem. So, looks like the old injectors, one of them gave up. This car has only 46,000 miles on it, and I had it since 19,000 miles, and I hadn't done anything on the plugs, coils, or injectors, so it was time to do it, I guess. Unfortunately for me, that I ended up paying for the toll bill, but oh well. Sometimes happens. Next, gonna wash the car. I also did a oil change. Let me start it up. You guys can hear it one more time. It's not smoking anymore. Now it runs good, as it should. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video was enjoyable for you to watch. I'm going to make more videos soon.